Well, welcome viewers, Dr. JWAU, theologist since 1994. Tickle versus Giggle, behavioural-constitutional analysis. People need therapy over this. It's pretty bad, the abuse, the political abuse, the justice system abuse. The mask has slipped off. This is episode 13, when institutions started enforcing morality. A public sector guidance document opens with ceremonial language about fairness, dignity and institutional responsibility. Quote, all service environments must reflect the affirmed standards of contemporary inclusion. Now, viewers, the sentence sounds compassionate, but beneath it, the spinal architecture is no longer hidden. The institution is not merely failing to protect moral order, it is beginning to enforce immorality as policy. And that is the next escalation beneath Tickle versus Giggle. The issue is no longer only that institutions have abolished divine sovereign accountability and order. The issue is that, having removed God above themselves, they now enthrone their own moral rebellion as compulsory public virtue. I'm going to say that again. The issue is that, having removed God above themselves, they now enthrone their own moral rebellion as compulsory public virtue. And if you don't ask me, ask Sal Grover. And that self-enthronement, that's self-enthronement. And that's a massive statement. When you self-enthrone, there's no boundaries whatsoever. Anything can end up anywhere without responsibility or accountability. And the system does not simply tolerate disorder. It names disorder justice, defiant of God's creation. It does not merely ignore created boundaries. It pressures citizens, Australians in this case, to participate in their removal. It does not merely weaken female privacy. It recasts resistance to that weakening as moral danger. And this is where Australian decline has become evidential. Because moral decline is not visible when people do wrong privately. It becomes far more catastrophic when institutions, Australian institutions, begin requiring the public affirmation of wrong under the language of righteousness. The woman's privacy is no longer violated by accident. It is placed beneath a framework that claims authority to reinterpret her boundaries, her vulnerability, her dignity and her sexed reality according to administrative ideology, in defiance of the Creator. And that is not protection, that is enforced inversion. And once law becomes an instrument for protecting inversion, the people it's supposed to serve begin carrying the cost of institutional sinfulness. Constitutional Australia cannot survive indefinitely when authority turns against the created order it was meant to restrain evil within. Because authority under God serves authority. Authority under God serves. Authority without God enthrones itself. Authority against God eventually compels others into its rebellion. And this is the moral pressure now emerging beneath the surface. In Australia, the mask has slipped in the Tickle versus Giggle case. Internationally, people are not merely being asked to adapt to change procedures. Oh no. They're being trained to accept the institutional moral judgment, outranking divine order, embodied truth, conscious and female protection. They're being asked to ignore what is real. And that authoritarian ideology is not neutral. It forms population. It rewards submission, it punishes moral clarity, it makes cowardice feel prudent, it makes obedience feel safe, it makes truth feel dangerous, and then it calls the whole process progress. But progress detached from God does not purify Australia. It accelerates decay with better language. The institution may still speak softly, its documents may remain polished, its hearings may remain procedural, but moral rebellion does not become righteous because it has been formatted professionally. Sin does not become justice because a department adopts it. An institutional power does not become holy because it claims compassion while overruling the Creator himself. And that is why Tickle versus Giggle cannot be treated as a narrow dispute. It's an affront against God. It is a visible fracture line in a deeper national decline. More being pressured to bless what God has not blessed, and to protect what God has not ordained, and to punish those who refuse to confess the institution's self-created form of morality. The throne has shifted, not publicly, not honestly, but behaviourally. The Australian system increasingly behaves as if it may define reality, judge conscience, restructure morality, and determine which protections remain socially acceptable. And viewers, whenever institutions reach that point, the evidence of decline is no longer theoretical. It is present in the demand itself. And when Australian systems enforce immorality and call it virtue, it has not become enlightened or more justified. It has placed itself in the position of God. It has enthroned itself to make itself God and to re-identify what it believes God's creation to be, in defiance of the Creator himself.